Hi guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. The Soup VALORANT League is well underway. Lots of massive results going down last night, especially Sentinels eliminated from the tournament far earlier than they were hoping for. Big drama hitting the timeline as well between the two CEOs of the respective organisations after beefing the other day. It continued on the timeline last night. Loads of other results as well, including NRG versus Billy Gaming. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Here are the gentlemen on Fnatic, joined of course by Crashies for the immediate future. How long that will last is a question. There's also this development. We'll see if this actually comes true or not, but it's been a big talking point recently in esports in general about certain sponsors being allowed or not allowed in the game itself. Riot will be allowing esports teams to have betting sponsors in League of Legends and Valorant in 2025. Gambling companies interested, they won't be able to place logos on the uniforms, but they will be able to sponsor the teams. Now, this is always controversial and totally understandable. In mainstream sports, this is pretty standardized nowadays, and I don't think it's necessarily going to be going anywhere. And look, it's controversial. There's pros and there's cons from either side. The reality is the team-based organization model we have in esports is incredibly challenging to be sustainable. The reality is that Riot, without the stipends these partner teams are getting, they would not survive effectively. The sponsorship revenue just isn't really there. These type of companies, they do have the revenues, however, controversially sourced they may be, depending on your opinion, to help sustain the scene. So, yeah, it's a tricky one. Obviously, it always is. But I think Riot are making a decision which was probably inevitable in the longer term of esports. And, well, we'll see if this actually turns out to be true. There's been some speculation on it now for some time. Aspas, he's on MIBR. He actually did an essay last night talking about a fair few things about the future of himself and his team. There was, obviously, there's a lot to say here, and I'll just briefly scroll through it all if you guys want to pause and read, basically, because he won this award as well in Brazil recently too. The main thing really I would say is back in the first paragraph where he just discusses taking a little bit of time to develop the new team, right? So he says, yeah, I've focused 100% on my team, showing them the discipline that is very important. Some days we have to give up many important things like family are important. Days to be 100% focused on the game. And he says, I trust these boys a lot. I know our potential. But he says, I would just ask for patience and respect for the fans, for the team, because we'll still evolve a lot and we'll show a very good game throughout the year. So I think Aspas's point is like, look, this MIBR roster is not going to come out of the gates and win, Bangkok Masters, right? But they could down the line make some serious progress, and he wants a little bit of patience from the fans in terms of making that happen. We did get some reaction too from the Cloud9 drama, of course, when Moose was dropped, and as Boaster says, Moose 2, what's going on? Cloud9 trying to win 3v5, they go into Rossi, go into Moose, they're still looking for players. It's, an absolute shambles over there. Boaster seems to realise it. Speaking of Fnatic though, this is the bracket for the EMEA kickoff. Now, we saw it in the Americas the other day. This is what the EMEA kickoff looks like on the 15th of January 2025, just over a month from today. Team Liquid KOI is round 1, KC Na'Vi, BBL Giant X, and then Apex Gentlemates, which is pretty interesting stuff. Of course, some of the heavy hitters, they've been advanced further on, but I think there's a few fascinating series in here, especially, the KC Na'Vi winner of that plays Vitality. That might be particularly telling, and also just how Apex got on as well with their new roster, of course, with Floor in their team as well. So some exciting stuff happening in the near future. But yesterday, we've got to talk about the Soup VALORANT League because there were some big results here. Of course, we discussed how Sentinels had gone down to Made in Thailand esports, which was pretty remarkable stuff. As Elsa says, tossed from us, we tossed it big time. A little bit of a toss from us. They lost 6 in a row, then they lost overtime. It was bad. And then shortly afterwards, of course, they had the rematch against Gen.G. Now, we know that the SEN matches are always legendary. They've played a few times now, and they've pretty much just split everything all of the time. And, well, it's effectively what is now happening again. But yesterday, Gen.G, this time, they got the W. They played earlier, of course, in the bracket as well. Sentinels won it that time. There was all the drama towards the end about the pause because of the Yoru thing that was going on, and Rob Moore, Sentinels CEO, is not especially happy about having to stay up a bit later to watch the conclusion of the game. There was an expectation, of course, at the time that Sen and Gen.G would probably still make it out no problem into the playoffs. That was not going to happen. This was the deciding game to see who would actually get into the playoffs. And neither, not both teams could actually make it in the end. And this time it was Gen.G that came out on top. Sentinels, the Haven, they went down 13-11. again, a rough way to lose it for Sentinels, losing 7 in a row on their attacking side on the second half. And then the Pearl, it was Texture that completely took over the game. Munchkin had 4 frags, Texture had 33. And after a good first half for Sentinels, I mean, an 8-4 start, going up in the end 10-5 on the attacking side of Pearl. You'd have expected them to get the job done, but no, 8 in a row lost this time, and it's becoming a very consistent trend. For Sentinels just to, I wouldn't say quite mentally collapse, but it's not far off that, right? I mean, in the series that they played yesterday, they just lost so many rounds in a row in both of those series, and that is a serious concern. Zekken didn't have a great series here by his standards. There's also questions on the role dynamics between John QT and Narrate, whether that's really working in the way that it possibly could. Look, you might argue they just had a bad day, and sometimes it happens, that's fair enough. But usually if a team seems a bit inconsistent, sometimes good days, sometimes bad days, I don't really believe in inconsistency as a concept. I just think it's good or bad. If you're good, you're naturally consistent. That's my opinion. Probably a bit of a hot take. But, if you're not consistent, it means you're just not good enough. That's my perspective. So, because if you get better, you'll get, better in terms of being more consistent. So, look, yeah, they had a bad day. But to me, that doesn't mean there aren't problems to be considered and to be resolved. As Zekken says, I'll be back stronger and a better player. Need to start winning. Hate to see my boys sad. So, tricky tournament, right? To go all the way out there and to then resolve it like this. There was, of course, some discussion hitting the timeline on exactly what's going on. What do they need to change? Because, losing Pearl in this way to Made in Thailand as well was a concern. And, of course, with TENS gone and with Sassy gone, there is questions on the lack of an Omen from TENS, the absence of that. Obviously, with Zekken's whether, how functional he's actually being on the server and stuff like this. As Zelta says, fun playing Gen.G again. We came here to learn and grow as a team, and I think we did that despite the results. So, Sentinels are taking some positives away, but it's not so clear that this is going to be a massive advantage for them. And therefore, we got the big drama that at the timeline, right? So we saw this the other day. This was the tweet threads where Rob Moore was, kind of moulding at Soup and saying, look, Gen.G, you should have gone down easier. You can't request a remake after that. And Arnold says you've got to get your facts straight, etc., etc. And they were beefing on the timeline, basically. And Rob Moore was talking about the Yori thing. Of course, a couple of days later, after the rematch, and, with Rob Moore's team eventually losing, he made this comment, didn't he? There's an expression in US sports, the ball doesn't lie. And, that's what Gen.G Arnold decides to come out with as a result of that. So I thought this is very entertaining. It's funny, right? Because when players are beefing, it's like expected. When you've got like CEOs beefing on Twitter, it's all the more entertaining as far as I'm concerned. So, as Rob Moore says, all right, yeah, well played. It's most fun playing the best teams, even if sometimes we lose. Congratulations. We go again in the new year. But I do think there are some things for Sentinels to think about here, because it's pretty rare in recent times they've looked kind of this lost in terms of what they're trying to accomplish. And yeah, not getting rid of, but Sassy and TENS leaving has had an impact on the roster. And of course, they've not looked as polished, and, in some sense, this is kind of embarrassing, the way that they bowed out of the tournaments here on both occasions. So, lots to think about for Sentinels, I'd imagine. Yes, it's the off-season, there's room for progression, and I'm not concerned especially about the roster. But compared to this time last year, where they were winning the Africa TV League, this is the Soup Valorant, it's the same thing. They've done it again. But this time they were out in the group stages rather than going deep in the tournament. So I'll show a couple of clips on that at the end of the video, just kind of discussing a lot of the reaction to this from Sinatraa and others, saying that, yeah, things are all pretty terrible. And we did get, though, another result. NRG, they played Bilibili Gaming, and this time they actually took the W. Can you believe it? FNS is officially back, bottom fragging, but the rest of his team is going off. It wasn't easy. It was not easy, and BLG are good for sure, but NRG just a bit better on the day. They won the split 13-11, another split banger, big comeback again. BLG will feel frustrated about this. They lost, 9 out of 10 rounds to bow out of the second half. The Ascent, though, fair play, they bounced back. I mean, what is it with these teams losing 7 in a row? I know that that's how the economy works, but come on, it's relatively rare in Valorant. And then Abyss was, in some ways, not a massively dissimilar story. NRG started kind of slow, they warmed up at the end of the first half, and then they closed out the game. So congrats to NRG, they've done it. FNS has officially broken the curse, they've beaten Bilibili Gaming. FNS, of course, talking about a trash of those guys, saying, are they okay? like, come on, focus up type thing, but the tournament is not necessarily over yet. As of recording the video, NRG have just gone up 1-0 on Rapid Lofi, and the second half, or the Pearl, it's looking pretty good for them to maybe close that out as well. So, yeah, NRG right now looking pretty good after losing to Rapid Lofi in the first round to get through to the playoffs. Of course, DRX took them down 2-0, very comfortably in the end, 13-4, 13-5. It was not even close. So it does seem right now the Pacific teams are thriving. The Americas teams, certainly not at all the case anywhere near as much. I mean, the fact that both Sentinels and NRG could feasibly go out in the group stages would be unthinkable going into the tournament. But it's not looking likely, but it's not entirely implausible given the circumstances we've seen. But very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Wait, SEN sucks. Not as worse as, or not as bad as NRG. Like, NRG lost to a legit tier 26.5 team, but like, should I save this region? If I was in that server, no troll, I dropped 250 kills, bro. I'll insta-lock Sova every map. These guys will get wallbang through 82. I'll wallbang through A to B, like no troll. Shit, turned into crickets in the crowd. One person clapped after they won. Okay, no troll when Jordan is dropping 29 in a match, top fragging. Like, you know there's a fucking problem, no? Like, there's a clear problem within the team, bro. Like, no, like, no disrespect, but like, he's not there to be top fragging, bro. Let me see the VLR. Narrate -8, Zekin -9, John QD -8. Bang! +9. Jordan Montemurra +4.
Absolute shot. That's a hard shot to hit.
Finds it. Gets another. Celsius on the floor. 2 players
oh
left.
my
Now
god. When he's like this, you can't win.
Approaching from behind, the pings come through. He's going to try to no-scope him, isn't he? Well, he's not going to. The raid
33 to 13. Shout out to Texan. He took over.
Gen.G.
He took over at the end here. That was nuts.
Whoever wins the first one wins the second.
Impossible to take down.
Whoever wins the first one all year, 3 times.
Eight rounds in a row.
And lost. We played each other 6 times this year. Went 3-3.
Bro, Texture actually just farmed us.
You know, again, I think the most important thing is, right?
Hey,
yeah,
so
actually got off every
Sentinels
single
out.
This is how you get the experience. You go through the grind and you learn to close, right? Because that's the hardest thing in sports is closing. And that's what you gotta learn.
Yeah. Damn, that was 10-5 too, again. So many leads.
Wait, are they out?
Just so much
10-5,
control,
8-5.
so many kills.